Hello, my name is Matthew Kay,
And I'm Joshua Hanlon.
and this is episode 153 of Beyond the Brick. Thank you for joining us. Today's episode is sponsored by Brickmania. Many thanks to you, Brickmania, for sponsoring today's episode. Today we'd like to talk about Brickmania's gift certificates. If you have someone that you know might be interested in a Brickmania product, but you just don't want to decide for them, but you want to make sure that they go to Brickmania to buy something, you should get them a Brickmania gift certificate. A quick trip to their website, you'll be able to find it very easily. A gift certificate's right at the top, but take a look at those gift certificates. You'll probably find something. Anyway, this week we're joined by George Barnick. He is a wonderfully talented builder and involved with many websites online. George, would you like to tell a little bit about yourself?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. So, I'm George. I am most known for working at Brickpedia, the Lego encyclopedia, and I've been a Lego fan for probably all my life, or all life where I had, like, working brain cells at least.
So if you can,
And,
recall the first time that you touched a Lego brick.
probably disassembling my family's Liberty.
I see, I see.
That didn't go over very well.
I would imagine not. And then you mentioned your family just already, and this is something that I figure we might as well just hit this right now. Your whole family is rather Lego-centric, right? Your older brothers and your dad even. So what is
Yeah,
it like
like
being from such a Lego-centric family?
Yeah, well, my whole family's more or less been into Legos. I was born. Even my mom has had sets here and there, and I mean, I can't really say what it's like because it's just normal for me. Like I know a lot of other people don't have AFL parents and their brothers. Like it's just been normal all my life.
So it's always been a part of your life. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they got me into it.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
do you guys try to attend conventions and things like that together, or almost like a family affair somewhat? You get a few you guys going to those?
Yeah, like Lego conventions tend to be family trips. Like Brick Fair, Virginia, that one's closed recently. Brickverse, Downley, both were family trips.
That's
Okay.
great.
Yeah, very cool. So you mentioned your work with Bricapedia there. You want to talk a little bit more in depth about that? How does that work, and what is the website for people who might not be familiar with it?
Okay, yeah, well, I joined Bricapedia about, let's see, a little over 2 years ago, and a little over a year ago I became an administrator there in a rather short time, but Brickpedia is a Lego reference site in an encyclopedic format. It has over, let me check some statistics real quick. It has over 20,000 articles about Lego products and other things, and it's built completely by fans. No robots, no automatic stuff. We
No
all type all
pilfering
that
of content
information
from
in.
other websites?
I mean, sometimes people will come from another website, help out our site, and become a member there. And it's just like a huge user-generated reference for all things Lego.
So
No,
it's
sorry, you go, Joe.
I was just going to say, so kind of as you can infer from the name, it's basically like Wikipedia, but for Lego. So there's articles on everything imaginable, I would guess, on sets and then all sorts of other products. Whatever is related to Lego, you can probably find something about it there.
Yep, and I don't know how, but somehow you figured out that it's like similar to Wikipedia. I don't know what gave that away.
There's nothing to indicate such would be the case.
Yeah, he's just like a wizard. How he found that out.
But now there are other Lego like encyclopedias in the same spirit of Wikipedia. But what makes Brickopedia, the one that you're an active member of, different?
Yeah, well, since like the internet is huge and wonderful, anybody can create wikis as much as they want, but as far as it goes, Bricapedia is the oldest Lego wiki, and it's also the largest, and it has the most active users.
Okay.
Most other Lego wikis tend to be more focused around something like, a specific theme or something like that.
So there is something very special about it then. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so Bricapedia is basically like anything Lego, it goes on there. Like you'll have sets and themes, but you'll also have stuff about like the Christensen family and about like all kinds of certified professionals and all that stuff, like anything that has to do with the Lego group.
So, were you a founding member of Bricapedia, or did you join after it had founded with some of the history of the site itself?
I joined way after it was founded. It was founded back January of 2006, and I joined in about December of 2012.
Okay, who were some of the founders there? Was it people who had been in the community for a while, or what was the kind of driving force behind it? Just looking for a database to just kind of encapsulate all these different Lego sets and everything that's out there?
Yeah, well, the founding member was a guy by the name of Smith, who we don't really know much about because he sort of left the site not too long after it was started, and like there's not much trace of him on the internet besides a MySpace page.
Huh.
So well, that's been dated also there, but there's some other older users. Like I know there's one user whose online name is CJC95. Who's been there for quite a long time. Nova Hawk, like I don't know their real names. But
now, to the best of my knowledge, this Bricapedia was hosted with some external provider, like just a Wikia in general, and you've since migrated it to a private hosting setup. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so back in the day when good old Darth Smith started Bricapedia, it was on WikiCities, which later renamed to Wikia, which is a free online wiki hosting site, which, while it is great to have a free site, like you do have some... Yeah, you have to suffer from a lot of advertisements that you don't really have control over. So just 2 years ago, back sort of when I was getting started on the site, there were some serious talks about making this our own site, and there's already some development underway. So I sort of jumped in on that, and we started building a new site. And the new site is called Brickmania, which is sort of like after Wikimedia, which is the company that owns Wikipedia. Like, we're really uncreative with names.
You just borrow. That's not uncreative. You're good at borrowing.
Creative borrowing.
Yeah, basically just change anything with wiki to bricky, and that's something that we...
I mean, there you go. You got unending names.
Very funny.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like our new site. It's started off a bit slow. Like, I mean, it takes a lot to... Once you're the #1 on search rankings, it takes a lot to overtake yourself.
There's a lot to be said for momentum, right?
Yeah, and so since Wiki is making money off of our old site, we can't really have them delete it. And even though we try to do what we can, usually that ends up in us being blocked from Wikia, and that doesn't go over too well. But we've started since 2015. We've been doing a lot better on search rankings. We've been getting a lot more traffic, a lot more users. It's been taking off pretty well.
So do you think that you will one day be the predominant like Lego wiki source?
I mean, as far as a wiki goes, I mean, I'd say we already are.
Yeah.
Even though we still are technically competing. Yeah, we have to compete with our old site.
That's really awkward.
It's really weird, and it's generally hard to explain to people. But
it's like having an arm and then having it get chopped off, and then it's still like an arm, and then you're still like trying to regrow a new one, but it is over there.
That
like,
is a really weird way to put it, but I guess that works. But yeah,
like once a part of you, but now it's no longer. That's I totally sympathize.
The fact that we're still competing with our old site does get in our way a bit, but we're still doing better than them, from what I know. Like, every time I look at it, we still have more active users than the old site does. And even though people tried to sort of adopt that old site, it hasn't really taken off.
Now, just because it is a wiki-based site, obviously it's all about user contributions and stuff. And I'm sure that you are not the only one like behind the scenes. Could you talk more about like who the staff is comprised of? Do you guys meet in like Switzerland once a year? How does that work?
So yeah, like since like a wiki is pretty much nothing without its community and its users. Like a lot of the work is done just by like regular members, like not only any staffers. There are some administrators like me here and there who do stuff like delete and spam and that kind of stuff, but really like it's all run by the community. Like they make their own rules pretty much. Like we vote on things as a community. It's not like we're a staff team that just decides on things.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what is your role as far as like what do you do at these sites? Are you mostly writing articles? I think you do some set reviews and things like that. What other types of things do you usually do for the sites?
So for Bricapedia, like I used to do a lot of the article writing, but I've sort of slowed down on that mostly because it does take a lot of time. And there are other people who will do it, which is good, so it's not like it's depending on me to do it. But I'll do reviews, like I'll do maintenance on the site. I'll sometimes develop features for it if I have nothing better to do. And I'm also the LEGO user group ambassador for Brickpedia, which I'm sure you'll also want me to talk about.
Of course. So what exactly is an ambassador for a website? How is that a thing?
Well, it's interesting that you ask that, Matthew Kay, Mr. Ambassador yourself. But LEGO User Group Ambassador is an individual who represents a LEGO user group with the LEGO group to help interact and engage the LEGO group with the adult fan community.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of help the website, you help LEGO kind of understand what your website is and get the support if you guys need. Is that things like set reviews and things of that nature?
Yeah, so basically, like, quote Lego.com, we provide valuable dialogue and initiate activities of relevance to the success between the LEGO group and the adult fan of LEGO community. So that can involve like us reviewing LEGO sets or us hosting contests for our site where the LEGO group will kindly support us with prizes and anything like that. Like we'll do surveys, anything that helps the mutual relationship between LEGO and its fans.
So it's a mutually beneficial interaction, basically.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So do you do any like custom mock building yourself, or how do you find time for that with all the other LEGO related work you're doing?
I do. Like it's been a bit slower recently. Like I haven't found something. Like I haven't sat down and started putting pieces together recently like I used to do a lot, but I have been working on some things here and there. Like it's not like I've abandoned it. Like if you had a 360 view of my bedroom here, there are LEGO pieces and works in progress everywhere.
Totally. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of things
have,
in the work.
Oh,
even have bulk bricks here.
Gotta pick a brick up.
Yep. All lime green.
So now your brothers are, from everything that I can understand, heavily into Bionicle. Does this kind of continue over to you?
Yeah, so my older brothers, they're twins, so they have all the same interests. And so
they're not different people.
They're not. They're very, very much the same. But they're also involved in the online community, and they both really do build a lot with LEGO. They build more than I do. And they do really like Bionicle and those sort of construction, action figure kind of themes like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to think. I want to say your brothers have contributed to LEGO-related like media endeavors themselves, like that blog New Elementary, the parts blog, and I want to say Blocks or Bricks or whatever it's called now, right?
Yeah. And so basically, like they've been involved with that all longer than I've like sort off on me. Like at first wiki I joined was Bionicle Sector 01, which one of my brothers worked a lot on, which is building information about Bionicle. And yeah, I joined that, sort of ended up finding my way into administratorship there too,
Of
like
course.
everywhere I go. Yeah, and so that really did kickstart like my journey to the Lego community, especially the online one.
Sure. And now you also list yourself as a active member of Eurobricks. That's interesting.
Yeah, I check Eurobrick pretty much every day. I don't follow too much. There are alarms that I'll just follow and I'll read them and I'll check back on them daily. And like I do like to see the kind of discussions there. It's really active and there's a lot of opinions there that are interesting to read about.
Of course, yes, it's definitely a hotbed of sometimes awesome discussion and sometimes not so awesome discussion. But
Exactly, like anywhere.
typical anywhere, just like anywhere. Yep.
Typical internet.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I know another thing that you try to stay fairly active in is the LEGO conventions. I think I met you for the first time at Brick Fair, Virginia last year, and you and Matthew were just with a bunch of other AFOs at the Brick Universe, the first ever Brick Universe event in Raleigh. You want to talk a little bit about your...
I feel like Joshua just like disappeared.
I think Josh was trying to say, how do you think the first Brick Universe went, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, I do like to stay active in the conventions, even though I generally only make it to some East Coast ones. I would like to travel, but I just don't have the time or the money right now. But I did enjoy Brick Universe. It's only about like 3.5 hours from where I live, so it was worth the trip. And for a first year convention, I was really impressed at the size of it. Like generally, like just the amount of public that turned out was pretty impressive. Like it was sort of like a Brick Fair scale public audience to me.
Yeah, well, I think the rough estimate or something of the total public attendance was like 14,000 or something in that range. So that's a significant number, definitely. But I think the convention maybe the only...
Out of there.
What?
They were packed in pretty tight there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only disconnect I see between the convention and the way it's like marketed to AFOLs as being like an AFOL-centric convention, and then the fact that it kind of heavily caters towards the public, or not caters toward, but just provides them with a nice experience, almost more so than the AFOL experience. Like you can't really compete with a Brick Fair just because of scale. So
yeah, it definitely. The primary thing it lacked in was the amount of mocks that were on display, but like that doesn't concern me too much because I'm sure after people see the turnout that this event had, there's going to be more AFOL interest in displaying their stuff there next year.
Sure, and I think from the perspective of a child, I mean, seeing like cool creations is certainly like one of the main attractions of these kinds of shows. But I think free build areas and stuff in that sort of vein is also just as legitimately important. You know.
I didn't see any that looked bored or uninterested in it. They all seemed like they were having a good time. So
Certainly.
And like it's good that we're inspiring next generation of FLLs here.
Of course. Now you and your family are Brick Fair Virginia regulars. Could you talk about what Brick Fair Virginia is like for you? When was your first year?
My first year would have technically been like Brickfest 2005, back when it was in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, in McLean.
No, 2005 was held at George Mason. 2006 was held in McLean, right? Tyson's Corner.
I thought it was 2005.
I think 2006 was like the Joe Fest year, right? Where they made the jump out of the university.
I don't know, because every time I'm like looking through my room, I always find my Brickfest badge, and I don't recall being at George Mason for it, but maybe I'm remembering wrong.
I don't know. I was like 10 back then, so six or half a dozen of the other, right?
Yeah.
I was like a fetus or something.
Actually, now that I look at it, this is oh yeah, it was 2006 because I just found the badge.
Gotcha.
It's 2006.
So what was that?
Yeah.
You were able to really enjoy that. That was a very kind of a big deal sort of event. I would like to say awesome. Was that awesome
Yeah,
for
I
you?
mean,
Or?
that was my first time around other Lego fans. Like I probably was like 10 or 9 or something back then, and it was pretty cool. Like it wasn't more of an AFL convention back then to me. It was more like, let me look at all these awesome things. But it definitely made me want to come back. So I know I did come back in Brick Fair 2008, and then every year since then, except 2010, I was away.
So 2010 is the only year. Was that you and your whole family missed?
No, it was just me.
Oh, just you. That's really crazy though. So yeah, from the perspective of a 9-year-old, what was Brickfest 2006 like for you?
You're asking me to remember what my opinions of it were when I was 9.
Yeah, I was like, well, any impressions whatsoever?
Like just in awe or anything?
I literally can't remember that much. There are only a few things that I can significantly remember. Like the ball contraption was something that I definitely remembered.
Big crane?
From 2006. Yeah, and only thing. I think that's probably all that I remember. Like that's the only significant thing I can remember. Yeah.
And then when Brick Fair 2008 came around, you were like a little bit older, right? Like 12, 13?
Yeah. Like by the time Brick Fair 2008 came around, like it was definitely like pretty awesome. Like I remember I got to meet some cool AFLs that like I knew from online by then, and some people from the Lego group, which definitely was awesome to do for the first time.
Was it who in 2008? I'm trying to think back. It was Steve Witt was there. Designers, do you remember? I can't.
I do remember there were.
There was product unveiling, right?
Jim Folds was there, and I remember.
Brick Universe, or not Brick Universe, Lego Universe, right? The video game.
Yeah.
They're promoting that, I think.
Yeah, that would have been around there. I never played Lego Universe.
Of course not.
Like, so many people are probably gonna be amazed that I ever played Lego Universe, but I never have.
Was that old that they were advertising that in 2008? Man, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It was like 2008, 2009.
Okay.
Did it show in 2009? Launch in 2009. I don't even remember.
I can't remember. I think it launched and then it unlaunched, like within a period of 6 months. So.
I could look it up on Bricapedia.
There's an example of the kind of thing that you can find out by going to.
What a wonderful resource for information. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Lego Universe was introduced in 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
Development started in 2005.
Wow.
The beta period was open to the public in March 2010.
Interesting.
Game went live in October 2010.
Very
Okay,
cool.
that's what I was thinking. I thought it was something right around there.
And then I guess it closed on January 30th, 2012.
Mm-hmm. So not a real long life there for that game.
I never got a chance to play it because like 10 was a year that I was like away at school, or like away for school.
You were sent to a boarding school and it was your mom's idea?
Indeed.
Interesting. I don't know how I knew that one. Sorry, George.
Yeah.
But so now this is I want to like sort of let's bring this to a point here. You talk about all these Lego conventions and these admin positions and all these blogs, and the one thing I can think of, it's like, are you a Lego socialite? Is that what we would call you, George?
That's something that I don't think I've ever been called, but it's an interesting title.
Because it seems like you're just the fact that you are a Lego fan is like just like that is it is what it is sort of thing. I don't know, like
Yeah,
Coco
like
Chanel
this
was
all
always fashionable.
it
You're always
it
a
does
Lego
all
fan.
sort of go back to when my brother was on Bionicle Sector 01 wiki, and then
Uh-huh.
I joined that. So from there, like one admin there recruited me to be an admin on a Ninjago wiki that they were starting back when Ninjago was like the coolest thing ever.
Is there an
And
element of like jostling between you and your brothers for like attention or like prestige? Do you ever find that to like because I mean like I have sibling rivalry sort of.
probably, I mean that's sort of a sibling thing, but I probably would have been wanting to be able to say, "Hey, I'm significant in the Lego community" to
Yeah.
them. But yeah, at that time, that probably was what it was. But after I got that Ninjago wiki up and running, that was like my first experience like doing anything with any sort of role in a Lego community.
Uh-huh.
And so I got sort of big in the social media and the forums in the Lego community, and that really did kick it off. And from there, that site's dead by now. But then I went to Bricapedia.
Very cool. So it's just sort of something that sort of kind of spins itself and sort of just grows naturally, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like building up my online Lego community resume.
Of course. Yes, yes. And it cannot be done anyway but organically, right?
Yeah, and now I can say that I've been interviewed by Beyond the Brick.
So, of course, yes. You and a couple other people.
Very exclusive
Yeah.
club.
Exclusive club, George. Exclusive club.
Yeah, like this is like the cool kids club, right? That's what I was told when I was coming into this.
Of course, of course.
Definitely. So, with all the sites
Really?
you obviously visit on a daily basis and you're so involved in the community, do you have any favorite builders or people who inspire you, or maybe some favorite creations you've seen over the years?
Let's say, favorite creations would be a hard one because like it's hard for me to remember a specific thing.
Yeah.
Like I can, like, but for favorite builders, like after being at Brick Universe, like I looked at one of the books they had by No Starch Press, and it was the Technic models that Serial does of like realistic cars, like supercars and things. Like, and I had seen these before online, but like it was good to like be able to look at them all in that book. It really got me back interested in his stuff. So like I do really like the kind of things you can do with Technic pieces. Like it makes me wish I had more Technic pieces.
So is that something you think you'll be working on in the future?
Probably not, because like I do have a lot of Lego pieces because my whole family is in that whole, like hobby, but there's so many amazing Technic pieces that are so specialized nowadays, and they come in the most expensive sets. I can't really like I can't make that my building style, really.
It's a problem that we all face, so
Yeah,
guess I don't know.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never enough Lego.
Mm-hmm.
But now you mentioned the collection that your whole family has. So how did you build your collection? Do you have your own personal collection? Is there like a strategy in mind that you or your family has towards acquiring Lego?
Really, I mean, it's all just shared like several years ago, like, or I guess it always was sort of kept in my basement.
Mm-hmm.
And like several years ago, like probably like 10 or so years ago, we got like these hardware drawers that you can get at like any hardware store, like Lowe's or anything,
Sure.
that you sort like screws and stuff in, but those work really great for Legos. I mean, Lego
bricks.
product and
Of course.
Lego bricks, yeah. I didn't say Legos, and
Yeah.
so those are all sorted into like design and color. So it does make the collection easier to go through, and it's all shared. But I do have a lot of things that I just keep in my room also.
So it's like it's at the same time both communal and then you have like a little bit of like tidbits you've sort of skimmed for yourself.
Yeah, like generally anything that was a built model in my room like stays in my room.
Sure.
But if it's just like random parts or like just random sets that I'm not displaying in my room, they usually end up in the basement.
So now, are there any? I know a lot of people have certain peculiarities that they like have as ground rules when approaching a Lego collection. Do you have like a wash your hands rule before playing with Lego? Is that like a thing? Everyone has to respect
That's
the
so
brick.
weird.
Is that?
That is so weird. Like, do people really do that?
I don't know. I've heard these Lego-oriented families out there. Oh, they have things.
There is none
That-
of those
That's
obnoxious
just
hand
Matthew's stringent
sanitizer
policy.
things.
I mean, that's just
Yeah.
me.
We don't have those annoying hand sanitizer things that say you must sanitize your hands before you come in.
Okay.
We don't have
okay.
that.
Got one
Good to know. Good to know.
on the wall room. You make everybody.
There are no
Couple
rules
pumps of hand
in Lego.
sanitizer.
Yeah, the first rule there are
It's
no.
just imagine. You know that rule, right?
Just imagine. Yeah, is that the marketing campaign from the mid '90s we're talking? Yeah. Something like that?
Yeah.
So now, I think one thing that we should definitely touch on, and maybe it's somewhat relevant to your Lego hobby, but you are very, very much into. I believe the term is car photography, or is there a better term to describe this?
That pretty much works. Like I'm a professional automotive photographer as of like the past year. It just sort of developed as a hobby. I've
Okay.
always sort of liked cars, and I bought a camera like later, and it just developed into a passion and a hobby.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice that you can do that. I'm sure that's helped you out with the photography part. Has helped you out then with whatever Lego photography you've done over the years. Does that overlap there?
Sort of. I mean, I'm never whenever I take pictures with my camera for like a Lego review, I'm never satisfied with how they look.
You
So
always want it to look better.
I
And so I believe I
Yeah,
pulled
like-
up your Instagram account here, and this is where
you
you
did
have you got your car photos.
you went full on stalker mode and
Full
like
on
found me on
stalker mode. We are
Instagram.
looking at his Instagram right now. So as you can see, you got some. There's a Mexican food, but we got
Yeah, that's some food.
You got
It's
some really
Instagram,
nice
so there's
shots here,
gotta be-
George.
Yeah,
rolling
like
shots like that. Look, he's giving the peace sign.
yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah,
It seems to
it's,
center around Mustangs. Is that a thing?
yeah, that's pretty much just the community. Like, I mean, just like there's a Lego community, there's a Mustang community, and I sort of just found my way into that, and I've made a lot of friends there. So that's where I get the most of the business.
Certainly. So do you find any similarities between that Mustang community and the Lego community? It's not obviously it's like not the same thing. But there's like a creation element to like customizing a car.
Yeah, let me think about how I could compare those. I mean, for the same thing, like people's car are like an expression of themselves, and I guess so. Their style of car sort of can be compared to like people's building style in Lego. Like, I
Okay.
mean, there are some people who probably just focus on like upgrading the suspension of their car, which could be like, I mean, there's some people who just focus on one particular thing in their building. So there are some similarities there, I guess.
Yeah, totally. That's kind of cool actually to think about.
You're putting a part of yourself into both of them. The Lego hobby, or like you said, upgrading your car, adding things onto your car, and the way you take care of it. It's definitely like a representation of your personality.
Another thing, going back to sort of how you're talking about what I've been building, like I've built a few like sort of like car mock-ups in Lego, like mainly in Lego Digital Designer, but sometimes in like physical bricks. But like I'll sort of like test some like different sort of like gearing kind of stuff or aerodynamic kind of stuff. It sort of crosses over there too.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. So that's an interesting little side hobby there. Not a lot. We haven't had a lot of people on that do car photography, so that's cool.
It certainly isn't like a common overlap hobby. Maybe I would be willing to.
Yeah, it's not like I don't think I can't name any other automotive photographers that I know build with Lego. So
Yeah, I mean, you hear a lot of Lego fans that are also into like other amateur robotics programs other than Mindstorm. That's kind of a big thing. I don't know, but yeah, car photography, not really, maybe. So
Mm.
you maybe a little bit of a select club there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unique. So,
yeah, but it definitely like I mean it does cross over with like I like cars in real life, and I also like most of the Lego stuff I do, being like cars or working with like Technic cars or Lego model cars and that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
it's a combined hobby.
So now to go,
definitely.
let's go into a question that's completely random, has no relation to anything we've been talking about thus far. What is your all-time favorite Lego set, George?
My favorite Lego set, I think, it's quite a lot to choose from. So I for recent purchases, I'd probably like I look at it now. Ultimate Collector Series 1 I have in my room here. That it's my first Star Wars set in several years, but it's definitely a very nice set.
Okay. Yeah, very.
I believe the did was Hans Zimmer, and he definitely did a very good job on that.
Sure.
Hmm.
It's an improvement from the Star Wars sets I remember from 1999 and 2000.
Definitely, yeah. They've certainly gotten better over the years as they improve and come up with cool new pieces, new set designs, all of
Oh,
that.
heck yeah.
And
Yeah.
kind of along those same lines, do you have a dream Lego set, one you've always wanted Lego to make?
Most wanted Lego to make. That's definitely a good question. I mean, there's a few things I've always wanted. Like I always wanted like a really good Technic car, or like any sort of like helicopter or something. Like it'd be so cool if there were Lego motors that had enough power to like get something off of the ground,
Or Lego to be
or if
light
there was
enough,
just
right?
Hmm.
yeah.
Have like a technical wireframe almost, or something to be.
Yeah, I mean, like anything like that, like something with a powerful motor that can either make like a really fun RC car, or like make some sort of plane that can barely fly. You
I don't
know,
know if you saw
something like that.
when you mentioned powerful enough to lift things in the air, it reminded me of if you saw Ian Heath's recent review of the Lego Helicarrier,
Oh yes.
and at the end he attaches his drill to the back crank and revs up the little rotors there on the four rotors on the set and gets them going as fast as he can, and it doesn't get much lift there. Doesn't exactly fly off the table. So I think they need something pretty strong to actually get anything going, but that would be really awesome.
That's Ian once
Yeah,
again
well,
coming through with some amazing video content to
that
feed
is
the tonight.
actually an interesting thing though, because like I don't know if you guys saw, I'm sure you did, but there was a Kickstarter for carbon fiber and Lego tiles at one point,
I do remember
which
this.
for that Kickstarter it was mostly for appearance, but it is an interesting idea for maybe like carbon fiber Technic sort of pieces, like make lightweight Technic pieces to maybe do that kind of thing a bit more efficiently with the motors.
Too crazy. That's what I say. Too crazy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
Crazy ideas right
Calm
here.
down.
Crazy
Calm
ideas.
down.
Like,
Calm
can
down.
I patent this right now on this live stream though, just in case anybody wants to like steal this?
definitely
Like,
it's
do I
done.
have the rights to it?
It's already patented. Just you saying that is taking care of it.
Perfect. You know.
Feel free to
Awesome.
go after with legal action anyone who takes that idea.
Yeah, and I'll be able to cite this video as like I came up with this idea.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
Never gonna
Definitely.
give you up. Never gonna let you down. Na, 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 na,
Very
na.
cool. Well, I
Yeah.
think that about finishes it out for us tonight, Matthew. Unless you had anything else, I think
The
it was
one question I did want to pose to George was if you're a member of one of these Lego sites and you're looking to get more involved, you just want to.
Uh oh. I think Matthew froze.
Obviously been able to sort of work a very diverse array of fan sites. What does one do to kind of start to go down that path? Is there like a tip that you can give to the viewing public?
You did sort of freeze there for half of that question, so if you could repeat that, that'd be very good.
If you want to be like really famous on like Lego fan websites and you want to help out and moderate them, what do you do to become more helpful? Like, what do you do to sort of get into that power structure or get into a leadership position? Is there one thing in particular you could recommend to the viewing public right now?
That's a good question. Well, the way I did it was like I was just outgoing. Like
Okay.
I love Lego and I just wanted to be able to help these kind of sites. And there are sites out there like Bricapedia, which is entirely user generated, so it's easy to get involved in that. You can just sort of easily work your way up to like an administrator sort of position there, or like a Brickset, like he's pretty easygoing about who he adds to like the database team, or at least he was for me.
Sure.
But you could just sort of volunteer for that. I mean, I'm sure he won't accept every random person, but like if you have some bit of notability and ability to like do some database work at Brickset, you could do that, or even news at Brickset. Or I mean, there are blogs out there which offer like guest reviews, or you could try to get interviewed by Beyond the Brick, or any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So basically, just offer to lend a hand and explain how you could help, and then most people will be receptive to that, right?
Yeah, just put yourself out there, and like you can always be active in a forum, like anything, and just putting your name out there. Once you're a name that's people will be able to recognize, and you have some, like credentials out there, you can easily sort of become that sort of famous, I guess you could call it.
Sure. So that's very good advice. Just kind of, just throw yourself out there, and then usually good stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, George. Really appreciate it.
Definitely.
It was great talking with you. Yeah, I appreciate you telling us about some of your work with the online Lego community and everything. Look forward to seeing you at some conventions sometime here in the future.
Certainly. Now, if people want to keep up with you, George, where does one go to find you on social media?
On social media, you can find me on Twitter. Should probably screenshot this because if I say my Twitter name is George Barnick, nobody will know how to spell Barnick.
We can put links. We'll put links in the description to your Twitter and stuff.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that works well. If people are interested, you can just look in the description of this video.
Here, yeah. So.
There's nifty links. We will throw.
Yeah, you can click the links below and follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I can't guarantee that there will be too much Lego related stuff on my social media. Like Josh can even put my Facebook down below. Like I'll accept anybody, I guess.
Ooh.
But, yeah, like come at me, everybody. Like hit me up.
All right.
Like, send me those digits.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, George. And before we end, I'd like to mention Brick Builders Club. Brick Builders Club is a monthly Lego fun stuff in a box type of arrangement, and you can sign up to get some brick swag for yourself at brickbuildersclub.com. Thank you so much for watching.